How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Really busy. We thought we were finally caught up, and as soon as the printed the last shirt, a whole new order came in with another 50 to 100 hats. So
Oh wow, okay.
we're keeping up.
That's really good. So you guys are doing a lot of embroidery, screen printing. So you guys are doing a lot of pretty much a bunch of different decoration methods, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit of
Okay.
everything. Um, the guys were working with the DTF today. I've been working with the embroidery machines. So we've got it all going on.
Okay, that's really good. What wins do you have to share since the last time we spoke?
Got our taxes done. Our 2022 taxes we got done.
Oh, I feel you. I feel you. I know how that goes. That's a big
Now we're
accomplishment.
working. Now we're working on 2023.
Yeah, I know that. For myself, I used to be kind of like I feel like the ostrich, with the head in the hole, and then you come out, you're like, oh man, what's it gonna be? But hopefully it all worked out for you guys on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
because
kind of.
the first number she gave us was enough to make a grown man cry.
Oh wow.
And then she said, oh, let me click this button and see what happens. And it went down, way down.
Yeah, that's really good. I think I've shared in the past. When I was running my shift, right? I had a big tax bill that was like for 1 year, it was like 20 something $1,000, and I was like, oh man, this is like a huge tax bill. And then
Yeah.
I shared it with Victor, my brother, and he's like, well, do you have the 20 something $1,000? I'm like, no. And he's all like, then you shouldn't know that. If you don't
Yeah.
have it, it's not like you're hiding it, right? So I
Yeah.
had to I had
Well,
to
Thank
find
you.
a whole new tax person.
oh, our accountant is amazing. And she always finds the ins and outs to help us. And so if anybody needs to know that, um, like in South Carolina, if you're disabled, there's different um, tax breaks for you. So, and then also if you file federal, there are certain tax breaks if you're disabled. So when we told, our accountant about what we had read, it made a whole lot of a difference.
No, that's really good to hear.
Yeah, so if anybody is disabled and, whatever, have your accountant check into the tax laws for federal and state.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a big win. Getting the taxes dialed in. I think one of the challenging things that I experienced was just finding somebody you can trust that you
Yeah,
feel was doing a good job, right? Because like you're practically putting your life on the line with that person, your financial life.
exactly. Because she saved us $30,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's why I
Oh,
said it'll make a grown man cry.
they're like, oh, I forgot to carry the five. You guys are saving money.
Yeah, but she's amazing, and we're just so blessed to have found her.
Well, thanks for sharing. And I know, I shared, I got you all set up with work, Michael. So we'll definitely be chipping away at that.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Yes,
worries.
thank you.
So one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today was kind of like going more into deep into AI. So I was just curious on how many of you guys do it. But before we kind of go into that, I wanted to see um which if anybody wanted to share a win that they've had since last week. I don't think you joined us, Chris, last week. Uh, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Is there any wins you've had since the last time you joined us?
Hi. Yeah, so it's been a while. So I have another obligation on Wednesdays, so I can only be here when I ditch out on that. So if I'm not on the call, that's why. And I was going to ask you, is there a way to view the recording for when I can't be on the call?
Yeah, normally they get posted on YouTube. Let
Okay.
me, um, Mauricio, he seems to just have his, he's not on here right now. But Mauricio, if you're big brother and you're listening, can you please post more often on our YouTube video for these sessions? Because typically he has to edit them and blur out all my profanity and my bad jokes. So he has to edit all. It might take him a minute or two.
Yeah, it's okay. No, that would be great.
Yeah, well,
Sometimes,
thank you for ditching your other priority today to join us.
no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm actually waiting on a UPS shipment to finish an order. So
Okay.
it was a good excuse to be hanging out. So yeah, so I'm finishing. So kind of my backstory is I have a free jet coming this week, actually. And so in the meantime, since I've been waiting on that, I've been using white toner printer. And I got an order that was basically just too big to do with the white toner printer, which is like,
Uh-huh.
yay, what a great problem to have. So I ordered some direct to film gang sheets to finish that. And then it was just one of those like comedy of errors of things that went wrong with that. So I would say my victory is that that UPS shipment today should be the last of that, and I can get that, like $5,000 order out the door, which will be a big celebration.
Yeah, that's
But also finally getting the machine that I've been waiting on, because I had an archaic, like a Rico 6000 before that, like a
oh wow.
dinosaur.
Okay.
So I'm super excited to get the free jet. I'm buying a refurbished one because that's what I could afford, but I'm so excited to get back to direct to garment. It's just a whole different animal.
No,
Um,
definitely.
and not that the white toner printer doesn't have its place and different things that it can do, but like the learning curve is really steep. So that's been really frustrating in the meantime, but I'm super excited to finish this job and like get moving forward.
So for the job you're talking about, it was like a direct to film transfer job that you
Well, it
did.
was a job I took on thinking I could do it with the white toner printer. However, it ended up being like, I don't know, 100 pieces. And, the white toner printer, you're like literally feeding film in one at a time. And different types of fabric, are going to require different film, different kind of printing. And so I was talking with their tech people, and they're like, you know what, for something that size, you really should just order gang sheets. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And that type of a transfer is like a much shorter press time, and you're less likely to get scorch marks, because they wanted that like sport tech, like moisture wicking fabric that's
Yeah.
polyester. And I mean, it was not an easy, first bigger job. And I know this job may not be big for some people, but for someone just starting out, that was plenty big. So anyway, and a big variety from like those types of, moisture wicking shirts to like really nice expensive jackets, all in the same order. So it's all like branded merchandise, logo type stuff. So it was cool for me because I got to go from like actually helping them redesign their logo to the finished product. So that was a lot of learning and really good stuff. But I am very much interested in getting back into direct to garment. It's just, I definitely prefer that medium.
Yeah,
So.
that's really good. Thank you for sharing. So it seems like you have the white glove order where you have to be really careful, right, with all this expensive merchandise.
I like your paint job on the wall behind you.
Thank you. So this is a in-home studio, and the rest of the house is very, we joke that we live above our pay grade. It's very pretty. It's very kind of Tuscan with chandeliers and all that sort of stuff. This is the only room in the house that reflects my personality. Like, I got to just do whatever I want. Some days I think it's pretty busy, but for the most part, it's cheerful and it makes me feel creative, and that's important. So, but thank you.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's
first
really
thing I
good.
told Michael was I like that paint job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you
So,
for
but
thank you
is the
for
topic this week AI? Is that what I heard you say,
yeah,
Edgar?
I'm gonna be talking about AI. I'm gonna go into
Talk
ChatGPT.
about a rabbit hole. I'm interested to know what you have to say because I took some classes on AI at the
Oh,
show in
really?
January, and it's been a really interesting
What show
process.
was this? The Long Beach one?
Yeah, the Long Beach show.
Do you mind sharing what they covered?
Oh my gosh. Well, it was pretty in depth, actually. It covered kind of like all the basics of like, what AI can do, who are the like primary sites that you might try. Um, I've learned a lot about even once you generate an AI image, like the need for upscaling, and like resolution issues and how that affects copyright, like all the different things. And it is definitely, and I've used it and I've designed some images with it. And I think it's a cool tool to have in your tool belt, but it can be a huge time suck. Like it is very rabbit trail. Like you can get sucked in and spend a lot of time tweaking, to get just what you need because you have to kind of figure out the right verbiage
Yeah.
to get to, what it is you're trying to accomplish. The couple pieces that I've done that I generated with AI have sold well. So that's good.
Oh, that's really good. What kind of pieces were those?
Well, my daughter owns a online boutique and it's got
Oh,
kind of
yeah, I
a
remember you mentioned that.
country bohemian sort of vibe. So I'm doing all her graphic tees. So they're mostly graphic tees, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, I would like whip out a picture for you, but it's okay. But yeah, and just learning how to put different kinds of textures onto the images that you create. But there is definitely a learning curve for figuring out how to ask it for what you want. The thing I've had the most success with is starting with an image that I've just sketched and then uploading that image and then telling it what I want it to do with it rather than trying to articulate something from square one.
Yeah, definitely. The for those of you that are just joining, especially when it comes to AI, it's the terminology is like prompting it, like writing the prompt, right? So it's giving it a set of instructions. And I've been pretty much using ChatGPT since it came out, right? From 3.5, now it just released to 4.0, right? So I've definitely been using it for quite a bit, and I expanded into other different areas of AI. So I definitely want to touch base on that. And it's funny because we actually had a creators boardroom about AI. I think if I'm not mistaken, Mauricio, like November of last year. And from November to now, when I did a whole tutorial like where I was sharing my screen, and I'll probably do some of that today. Like you would write stuff and then they would misspell it. Spelling was a big thing. So I'm not sure if Chris, if you played around with it recently where the spelling might have gone better. Which platform are you using for creating your images?
Well, this site I've been using the most is Playground.
Playground.
And then you can choose like stable diffusion and other, you can narrow it down and then you can apply different kinds of effects to it. And then you can also have it use the AI itself to generate, the more elaborate prompts based on what your initial prompt was. But I found that for not being a graphic designer, the Playground AI was probably the most straightforward for me. But be cautioned, there are two of them. And so I accidentally subscribed to the first one and then realized this doesn't look at all like the one he talked about in the class. So then I had to cancel that one and find the other one. So just be aware. They have the
Do you
same
happen to have
exact name.
Do you happen to have the URL for that one or the
I can look it
domain?
up.
Yeah,
Um, and then
because I haven't heard of that one.
I've been recently designing with a website called Kittle, which I jokingly call Graphic Designers for Dummies. And it has an AI program as well built in, but it's the whole thing like compared to me trying to learn Illustrator or something like that, it's much, much more user friendly. And the AI feature is not as like you have to really refine your prompts a lot more using Kittle than you do using something like Playground, because Playground, that's all it does is AI. But I will look that website up for you. Anyway, But I mean, for just doing mostly graphic tees, Kittle's been working out great. And it's like 20 bucks a month, which you can't beat.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and it's Kittle, like Kiddle.
Um, I mean, if it wasn't Kitttle. Oh no, hang on, let me minimize you.
Yeah, minimize me. You shouldn't be watching big size, big big size of me.
It's Kittl.
Okay, Kittl. Okay.
I can put a link up for you guys if you want to look at it, because there is
Yeah, do you
some
mind?
like referral credit thing that we can use.
Yeah, perfect.
But
If you
they
don't
have,
mind putting it in the chat, the playground one and the Kittle, that'd be great.
okay, I'll do that. I will do that. And I'll do that. You go on with your
Perfect.
trying to
Well,
teach us.
thank you for sharing that, Chris. I'm gonna be picking your brain as we move, especially since you've taken the class, right? So I'm assuming it was a paid class.
It was a good class. It was kind of brain numbing, to be honest with you. If you've never done any AI, it was
Yeah.
so much information. I ended up printing out the notes and have referenced them back to them several times. So
Do
it
they
was
share the
definitely,
recording of it? Did they
I
share the recording of it or no?
I don't know that there was a record. I mean, there probably was a recording. I can look. I think I still have the app on my phone. Um,
Was this the Long Beach show?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look, I'll write myself a note.
Then I think on the chat, Maria, she put, I think the one you were talking about, Kittle Kittl. So you guys are talking about the same one. So if you want to put your links, Chris,
Okay,
especially if you get a referral credit, those of us that sign up, hopefully get some credit for that.
that would be cool. Uh,
Mr. Ron, nice to see you, sir. How are you? Do you have any wins? Anything you'd like to share from last week?
Hey, doing good.
You had a
Yeah,
lot of good, valuable information for us last week, for sure.
yeah. This past weekend, I had another pop-up event, which was very successful. Picked up some new business off of that pop-up event, and this particular car show, they want me to continue to be a part of that, and they have three other major events coming up. Um, so that was really good. It was a good contact, and uh, I think the best part of it, I got to spend time with my 17-year-old grandson who's graduating next week. And so I literally, I was in his world with cars, and he's a car fanatic. So uh, that was huge to be able to spend all day with him just hanging out. And then next week I go get to see him graduate. So yeah,
Wow,
so
that's
off
really
off
that's really cool.
yeah, off of that, that spun a lot of business. So today was catching up on orders that I took while at the show and getting those out. And yeah, it's been good. Today has been a rough day because pretty much all day in the dentist.
Uh,
Oh, but hey, it was good. It's okay. Much needed. So glad it's over with. Until next time.
yeah, that's really good. Then the dentist visits are always not fun. They get you
So
on the free cleaning, and before you know it, it's like they tell you you're gonna need wooden teeth, right?
yeah, it's almost like when they get you in that chair, they forgot to tell you, oh, you need to bring some crack with you because we're gonna tear your mouth apart.
Oh man. Then for the event is that the event that you shared that they invited you to be there for free, the car show one?
Yeah, and all I had to do was in order to get the free spot was I did their event shirts and
Oh,
they went like hotcakes. I mean, it was crazy. They said, listen, we bought a lot of shirts from a lot of different people, but these were just absolutely phenomenal. I took their event theme and it was all on they were all done on DTG. And
Oh,
because
okay.
it was such a large spot, whole spot there. So that's why I opted for DTG on that one. And yeah, it was great. Absolutely great. They loved it.
No, that's really good. How was it with your grandson? Because seeing him, seeing you on the grind, with your own business. Because I know a lot of 17-year-olds now. They're like on. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now. When they're 17 and they're business owners now.
Well, I
How was
think
that?
he's seen it before, but he got to realize all the contacts that I have, and and how I'm just able to walk up and talk to people and then walk away with the business. Um, yeah, he's definitely it opened his eyes to, more to what I do, because I've used him in the shop, but here in the shop, it's kind of like I put him to work and I come back, he's on his cell phone. So yeah, that's a hard habit to break with this generation. But I think he saw a lot and understood, really. He got more in depth because he was there for the whole show with me at the booth, him and his mom, and it was a good learning experience for him. So I'm hoping that, because graduation is right around the corner. So hey, hopefully I can get him all summer and work his butt.
No, definitely. I've recently I've heard a lot of stories of kids while they're in college, side hustling, printing shirts, selling shirts, kind of like you know generating revenue throughout college to help them pay through college.
Yeah, that is that's so true. These kids have figured out how to hustle once they get to college, because it's not cheap. I had a grandson. He just finished his freshman year up at West Virginia University, and my son is a professional DJ. He's been doing it for all but 20 years, and he's great. He flies all over the country, and so my son has picked up on. His dad has taught him well. So when he went back to college, in the spring of last year, he started doing his hustle. He was picking up parties and stuff like that to help pay for the car, pay gas for the car and the insurance and so forth and so on. So some of these kids, the world's not a lost cause for everybody. Some of these kids have the grind, the hustle, and the time to get it done. Others, they don't care. They just want to sit back and let mom and dad take care of them.
Hmm. Yeah,
We all
some of
need
us.
somebody to take over for us when we're not doing it anymore.
Ah, yes, 100%.
And being on your phone is a lot different than being face to face with somebody and being able to connect with them.
Well, I have been able to connect with him really, really good. We're really close, and thank goodness he listens. Sometimes it take a little bit for it to sink in, but the bell finally clicks and it goes around to 12 o'clock, and about 1 o'clock he's got it.
Yeah, well, it's good because now, especially with the topic that we're gonna be touching on with Ron with AI. It seems like if he's 17, because I talked to a lot of teenagers around that age, right? Uh, and they're really into like apparel and designing their own shirts and stuff like that. So it seems like you might find yourself a good little marketing person right there. Because you're still on my work setup list, Ron, to get you all online, ready to roll.
Ba 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 ba. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah, I
was
couldn't
talking.
hear
Blah 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 blah. Talking
you.
loud and saying nothing. But anyway, yeah, I'm online. I'm operational. Um, the site is up and running. Um, and yeah, I'm just the hardest part now is just getting my customers to go that route rather than staying in my inbox and DMing me. I need this. I want this. Hey, go right to the website, order what you need. It's done. And then I'll take it from there, and we get it up and going. But that is the world that I live in, because I do a lot of custom pieces for people. I'm the only one in the area that does that stuff. So it's a huge part of my business and the one-offs and stuff like that. And it's just now just getting them to use the site to order because my inbox gets kind of full and ultimately you kind of let things slip through the crack until you get a phone call.
Yeah, I've had that happen where somebody emails you an order and they just assume because they emailed you it's like 100% done, right?
Yep.
Hmm. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing, and hopefully, your grandson, he can definitely help you out, promoting and seeing the value because, you know, I don't know nowadays what age they have to hit before they get a reality check from life. It's like, oh man, it's like I'm on my own now.
Yeah, you got a ways to go yet. Most of them, uh, at least around here, most of them now don't get it until they leave home late in their 20s and so forth, and sometimes in their 30s that I've seen. They totally rely on their parents for everything. They don't have the drive to get up and get out. There's some that do, and it's refreshing to see that. So yeah, I am hoping to get him hooked in here and realize, what he can do on the digital platform because he's on the internet all the time. So if I can get him hooked into I think I'll have a gold mine with him in steering him into a money making machine for himself.
Definitely. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing, Ron. So without further ado, unless anybody else wants to share something, I kind of wanted to dive into, using, AI. I've been using it for quite some time now. And it all stems from, ChatGPT. And it's kind of like what Chris was sharing is, you have to learn how to, properly prompt or give, whatever AI you're using the proper instructions. And, one of the biggest things that, I've been looking into, especially is, with all these new advancements in technology, I always, tell whoever I'm talking to, like, what I'm focusing and learning in right now is to not get replaced by AI, right? Because the funny thing is that when it started first to come out, everybody thought that the jobs that were going to get eliminated first were like the blue collar jobs, for AI, but it turned out to be the complete upside down, where it's like a lot of the white collar jobs. And what I mean by that is like computer face, like a lot of computer facing jobs, are becoming obsolete. So the way that I see the trend going is, learning how to manage it is where you're gonna have the leg up. Learning how to use the tools. Especially now that robotics are coming out. Tesla. I was watching a lot of videos. Like Tesla has their own robot in the work. There's a lot of different like ChatGPT. They're partnering up with another company that have their own version of a robot. So it's like you have a combination of like robotics coming out with AI, and especially if you learn how to use it properly, like I'm sure some of you guys have gone to the trade shows and you see the automatic screen printing machines like you've on it. If you've gone to those shows where they have the robot, or not the robot, but the mechanism that unloads the shirt and just throws it on the oven, that's kind of like a baby example of how things are slowly evolving. But let me share my screen so I can start. The one that I'm gonna be starting with, Chris. I'm not sure if you've heard of ideogram. So let me share my screen. So do you guys see my screen? Thumbs up? No? Yes? Cool. So this is the one ideogram. This is the one that I shared the last November, and it was kind of like the thing that I like about this one, and it's hard to believe these are all AI generated. Even this one is photorealistic. What I like about ideogram is that you can literally scroll, and if you find something that you like, and these are like the top, the most uh like the ones that are just the newest and the most popular. Like this one 35 minutes ago. Like this is a cool one. This rabbit one 6 months ago. So if I click on it, what I like about it is that it actually shows you the prompt that the customer or the person that created it used. which is you can see on here is quite a quite a long detailed prompt, right? So they put all this information versus create me a rabbit with a cool looking rabbit with sneakers and glasses. Like no, they really went full throttle and something like this. And the cool thing that I like about this one is that it has an like it gives you typically like four different options. So it's like the slight variations, right? And then you can take what somebody did, and they have a feature on here called Remix. So if you click on it, it'll allow you to literally take what they did and put it on your like add your own touches to it. Like for example, for this one, in a yellow instead of a yellow hat, let's say if I do teal, I'm gonna pick teal because that's a order that we're helping a customer with DTF, and she's like trying to hit these teal colors. I'm gonna put teal. Uh, and let me see what else I can change. Dark fantasy. So I'm just gonna change that. Let me move my screen up. Generate, and then while it's generating, it tells you on here wait, like, doing the countdown. And literally the only thing that I changed was the color. So you see now it gave me four options. That now it's teal, right? And it's kind of like what you were talking about, Chris. Now, how do you translate that into being able to use it for printing? Because as an example, if I take this one, then if I go to download, and if I go to Photoshop, are you guys still able to see my Photoshop screen now? Yeah? Okay. So if I go to Photoshop, then I open up that graphic that I just downloaded. So this one, if I go to image, image size, so as you can see, it's a good size. It's 72 DPI. If you have your your direct to garment printer, you'll be able to get away with it because it's a good size. But if I zoom in, you can kind of see how it's a little pixelated right there. So one tool that we use on here, the funny thing is that when I shared this last November, it was free. Now they charge. I think it's like 10, 10 to 15. I'm gonna say on the low side, $10 a month, right? So this takes any image and it converts it into a vector. So let's say if I was to let me X out of this. If I was to get that rabbit, so then what this one does is it actually converts it into a vector. So I mean it's gonna do its best based on what it could, how it's processing the file. But we use this because sometimes we'll get images where they're not the best, and we can see, how this software might be able to make them look better. So let's see if, and then it gives you the option. Let me just see if I can move my screen around. Let me see if I click on download. So when I click download, it gives me the different options on how to download it. So for this one, I'm just gonna let me see. Bear with me. I'm kind of moving my thing around. So file format, like those of you. So we have PNG, PDF, EPS. So I'm gonna do PDF, right? Because PDF typically, if you're those of you that are familiar with like Illustrator, if you convert it into a PDF, it'll hold the vector and so forth. That's kind of the simplest way I can explain it. And then I'm just gonna leave it like that. Download. So now if I go into Photoshop, so you see how it automatically did the 300 DPI, the resolution, which is kind of like the default that I have it at. So if I even try to do make it larger, 600. So this kind of gives you an idea how you can go into a website like, Ideagram, uh, find something that you like, you know, um, change the prompts around, and then maybe it's not print ready. You can use this other one, like if I was to zoom in. It's just loading a little bit. I made it 600 DPI, which is high resolution. Typically with 300, it's, you can get away with 300. There we go. Let me see. I might have to. Let me see. So can you guys see the difference? So just on the scarf, all the detail, just on how it did it, it's, you're not gonna have any issues. And you should be able to open it up in Illustrator. And the cool thing about this is you can start, editing it from there. So it turned everything into how you would typically see it. For like, I can literally keep zooming in, and you see that the detail's still there, and the beanie, the scarf, as opposed to the original, like how broken up that was, and the beanie. So that's one that I like. Ideagram, and it's kind of like, what Chris was saying is, how do you prompt, the AI? How do you get better at it? And this gives you an idea of what customers are doing. So if I go back to the main one, right? Like if I find another one that I like, let's say I'm just gonna randomly pick one. I like this one, this little dog. So then if I copy this, right? Then if I go to ChatGPT, just out of curiosity, what ChatGPT spits out. Let me see here. I'm moving my screen around as I'm doing all this stuff. Michael, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Edgar, yeah, I was gonna suggest I uploaded a link to ChatGPT. It's a GPT that I use to generate prompts.
Did you put that in the chat?
I'll re-put it right now.
So you use a ChatGPT specifically for generating prompts?
Right, and it also generates the artwork too.
Oh, okay, that's really cool. Yeah,
It's
if you don't
called,
mind putting.
yeah, I'll put
Uh-huh.
it in it's called Prompt King Prince, but I'll put it up in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. So then this gives you an idea, so once you put it in the chat, Michael, I'll venture off to it, so just to get an idea of it. But this one right here, so this gives you an idea of what I just, randomly put, and that's what, ChatGPT put, and I'm gonna like change the name to. I'm gonna use you as my guinea pig, Mal. Let's see how good it is at spelling now. So you can, it's kind of like what Chris was saying is like, if you have a basic design, you can take a design and then kind of start playing around with it. See how I misspelled it? Malficio. So it's still not the best, when it comes to text. Misspelled. I misspelled. Yeah, Maria.
So with some of these AI softwares, so if you have a picture already, can you upload that and then have AI add or change stuff on your own photo?
Yes, you can. As an example, like, okay, this one got Mauricio, and it decided that it was going to do like this. But as an example, let's say if I was to upload, let me move my screen around. If I was to upload from computer, I go to download. I go to let's do this guy right here.
Can it be something that like a photo that you already have, not something that you already created in AI?
Yeah, you can put whatever. So as this example is like an image that I have, right? So
Okay.
like, so I can be like, or like, let's say if I was to do one for a customer, right? That we're actually doing right now. So like, let's say this guy.
Mhm.
So like, let's say this is a file that a customer sent you. Like,
Mhm.
can you make the truck red, like Coca-Cola red? So it's kind of like you can start from a graphic, and you can kind of like what Chris was saying is like it's it's either you're gonna be really good at prompting it, which is like giving it the instructions, and the other one is like if you start with an image that you already have, right?
Mhm. Okay.
Um, it helps you go that way. Let me see what create. Sometimes you have to tell it create the image. And I have the ChatGPT 4.0, which is the newer one. So yeah, so pretty much you're able to do that, Maria, where you have. So do you find yourself where your customers already have something, and they kind of want you to go from that, or there's not here's a modified image. Maybe if I zoom out, no. So it's not even creating the image. Let me see if I try again. And that's kind of like finding the different tools that are gonna work the best. So like if I let me just see what it does there. And then for the one that you mentioned, Chris, the Kittle, um, typically that one, are you able to upload a graphic and take it from there, or do you have to start from scratch on that one?
That is a great question. Hang on.
Here's a modified image of the truck. You're on mute, Chris.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so Playground AI, you can upload an image and it even has like a sliding bar where you can say, here's the new prompt and here's how close to the image I want to stay. Like not very close at all, 10%. It's just a guide. Or yeah, I want it 90% like this image, but only change this thing, the color or whatever. On Kittle, I'm still learning the AI. It is a lot more like I've seen some really cool things being made. However, it's not as intuitive as the playground, but playground, that's all it does, where Kittle, it's just a feature.
Okay.
That makes sense. So I can't really answer the question of can you start with a picture and ask it to change it in Kittle, because I haven't really played with that yet.
Okay.
I know that
And
the
I'm not,
things that I have generated in Kittle using AI have been more basic and have taken me more steps, because I'm still learning how to communicate with that particular program on the AI piece of it. One thing I did want to mention on your first example, the rabbit, it in the description, in the prompt, if you will, it references specifically Damien Heist as the artist. And it does help if you understand the names of different styles of art. But in that particular case, that's actually based on a painting from that particular artist, and it's even signed at the bottom. So even though you're changing the color or tweaking it a little bit, you can get into copyright issues there if it's you're trying to create a product to sell with another artist's artwork on it. And so that's my biggest caution with using AI, is being aware of that piece of it.
yeah, definitely. You definitely want to be careful with, the copyright in regards to it. Because I don't recall off the top of my head. I think you have to change it 30%, at least 30% different, right? I used to do a lot of printing for a company that they would do mash designs, where they would take, as an example, maybe Disney and Marvel, and mash it into one design, where it's like you knew it was like a combination of one and the other just mashed together. So I used to do a lot of printing for them, and it got to the point that they got sued. This is a big company. They got sued, and somehow they figured out all the printing companies that they were using, and they got legal letters. So I remember I got like a big stack of a legal letter that came to my office with pictures of everything that I printed. I'm all like, how do they even know all the stuff that I've been doing? And I talked to the company and be like, hey, I just got all this, legal paperwork. It's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Just ignore it. We'll take care of it. So it's like you can kind of like, to answer your question, Chris. Yeah, you definitely want to be careful in regards to it and change. It's kind of you see kind of like for this one, for this little dog. So you kind of see what the starting point is, and then it gives you an idea of what the prompt is, and then definitely go in there and change a bunch of stuff on there. And I just kind of wanted to give the example how versus like just saying, uh, like let's say if I was to just take this, right, um, and then you want it to somehow look like this, you have to get really good at prompting, right? And one of the things that the who it was, make sure, well, that they shared in the chat was, learning how to prompt it. So that's definitely going to make you become a lot better in regards to it. And so then I see on the chat, Michael and Enriquez, he put, the chat GPT, the prompt tool. So I'm definitely going to be playing around with that one. But that's kind of like, the, like, like Chris said, you can go down the rabbit hole, right? There's a lot of information on there, and it's like, I remember before I created this AI resource list, so I'll maybe work on that and share it a little bit down the line. But you start putting together, like I have like this Google Drive file. It's called my favorites, right? And then I have all these different websites that I use a lot. So one of the things for AI is you want to like have them all organized, but you depending on how you want to plan for your business, you'll get good at that, right? Because, as an example, Chris, you might use one platform to kind of upload a graphic you have, and maybe you'll use a different one to kind of take it a little bit further. So you might find yourself having a couple different ones that are your go-to to kind of merge it into maybe one useful one. And then, it's definitely advancing. It's definitely moving forward, and that's the name of the game. They're only going to get a lot better. They're designed to compete with each other. So I only see them, progressing and getting a lot better. And if you guys really enjoyed this, we can even continue picking it up, for next week because from thumbs up, thumbs down, you guys want to keep it going. So I think we can keep it going, and then I'll take a look at what Michael shared. I'll take a look at Kittle. I'll take a look at Playground. I made a note of that, and then we can keep going that way because one of the biggest obstacles that I had when I was, running my own shop was artwork, right? And that's the main reason that I specifically only did wholesale printing. It's not that I was in love with wholesale versus retail. Um, it just happens when people would walk into my shop, like, they don't know what they have, or if they have something, it's a really bad graphic, and it's like they don't want to spend money for you to create it for them. Michael,
They,
Yvonne, you're gonna say something?
they want something that they found this big and they want it this big. It just
Yeah,
doesn't work.
definitely. That's why these new tools like the vector generating one, and that, it gives you a little. It's a lot better than before, right? It's kind of what I was getting at. And then I have to leave the webinar. Okay. But yeah, we'll keep it going next week. Hopefully, Chris, thank you for sharing with that. Hopefully you might be able to ditch, ditch and join us next week. But if in case you're not, I really appreciate all the feedback, all the resources. And that's what really makes a difference is when you guys participate, you guys share, and we're here to create value, and we'll just keep it going. You have your hand up, Chris.
Yeah, I want to let you know I did put the link to the Kittle referral in the chat. And one thing that is nice about Kittle, again, especially if you're looking at it from the lens of like for dummies, which is where I was, is you can upscale, you can vectorize, and you can have AI all within Kittle, which for like 20 bucks a month and being super user friendly is a pretty great deal. And one of the ways I got around the DPI issue is I just start with a really big canvas. So I design in something that's like a 60-inch canvas so that when I reduce it down to make my print, I get a higher DPI than, what it would typically save it as. So that's like my little workaround for not having to do a bunch of extra upscaling in a program that
Okay.
doesn't want to save it in a higher DPI to begin with.
So the Kittle, it allows it. Not only does it allow you to create a file, but it also vectorizes it.
Yeah, you can vectorize, you can, if you bring in an image from somewhere else, you can upscale it in their
Okay.
program. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm
worth
definitely gonna
looking
take a
at,
look
I
at it.
think.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm definitely gonna take a look at that and then share it next week. But other than that, thank you guys for joining. Mr. Victor Rubio, all we're saying is that relaxed picture of yourself. But thank you for joining. Everybody else, I appreciate you participating. I appreciate you sharing. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know what Mauricio and myself would be doing Wednesdays. Probably just sipping my ties on the beach, right, Mal? Uh, well, thank you guys for joining, and you guys have a good week. Bye.